Okay, new background for those who haven't seen my latest podcast. I am totally loving it. Aside from getting me in the seasonal spirit, I also prefer what it does with the color scheme for my complexion. So today I wanted to give an update on my businesses, which is not just going to be about me. It's really about all that's involved in launching businesses. Well, a few of the things. I left my pizza shop coming up on 15 months ago, and all I've managed to launch is my podcast. But that was a big achievement, and I'm very glad it took so long in a lot of ways because, it's not easy putting yourself out there. You have to do a lot of promotion, which I haven't really even scratched the surface on, but I now have the confidence to do it, time permitting. Still working on to overcome my ADD, which is another reason, and that's why it's taken so long. And, originally I just planned to do the podcast, and then I added, since I've had all this time, the idea of launching a sobriety community, eventually a coaching community, as well as one-on-one coaching as well. And those are things that, my ADD coach says, just launch it. You'll figure the rest out. But I've continued to say I can't do it until I've got more procedures in place. Working from home, being self-motivated, you have to have routines in place. You have to be effective at calendaring things and setting goals for the day, which I continue to struggle with. But I'm getting close. The original goal in my community was October, then I pushed it to November. Now I'm saying beginning of December, hopefully the latest, as well as the coaching business. So if you're seeing this as this comes out, looking for coaching, I'll be taking on some charter clients originally, but moving quickly from there as I gain confidence, which I've already got a lot of. I frankly think I'll be one of the best in the world. But imposter syndrome is another thing you need to overcome as an entrepreneur. That is real. And I'm going to be doing a whole video on that as well. I just completed my first role play as part of my training certification. Went very well. It was very difficult. We had an unexpected observer. It was supposed to be just one-on-one. They broke us into groups of 2, but they had an extra person. So we were the lucky group to get the observer, which adds an element of feeling judged. But thanks to my years of sharing on sobriety calls, it didn't throw me at all. And in fact, the observer really helped jump in with some great feedback. So that's why I can't emphasize the power of sobriety communities, recovery communities enough in terms of practice for real life. And that really paid off for me today. So, and that training today made me think of Laura McCowan, who's one of my sober idols. I read her book, We Are the Luckiest, 3+ years ago when I was in the throes of just starting to overcome this thing. And I once heard a woman say, she negatively compared herself to Laura, which brought her down, but I positively compared, which is the way to go. And I said, I'm going to be her someday. And I even want to be up on a stage with her someday. And, she's now 10 years sober and is working on her third book, and she's got a lot going on. And a friend of mine had once told me, she said, oh, Laura was once my sobriety coach. And I was like, no way. Laura was once just a simple sobriety coach. And she said, yeah. And I was thinking, manifesting. I would love to someday look back at that as well. And others to even think that as well. When ideally I am able to bring these thoughts to a wider audience and look back at the early days of coaching and starting up all these businesses. So to summarize this, you got to do the work. It's by doing the work and having fortified myself. One of my 2 ongoing words of the year, along with iterate, but strengthening myself from attack, both mentally and physically, of that troublemaker brain. It's really gotten me to this point, and I'm ready to bring on the first heckler in the comments. Joe Rogan said that was a big struggle with him and his podcast. So, and I'll tell you, the recent step I did of taking the ice baths really helped me get to where I was, the progress I made even in the last month. That was one of the hardest mental challenges I've ever done. I haven't even really had time to do them the last couple of weeks, but the couple of weeks that I was doing them did so much for me. And now they're making my cold shower finishes even with the winter weather, seem like a piece of cake. So that'll do it. As always, stronger, sober. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.